Right, we're going to move on to item 16. I'm sorry. Okay, got it. Item 16 is a report of the accreditation team to El Dorado County Office of Education. Consultant Christina Nahara will introduce the item, and institutional representatives will be joining us. Gabrielle Marchini. I'm sorry, Marchini or Marchini?
Marchini, thank you.
Marchini, thank you. Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Accountability, and Jill Morton, Director of Professional Development and Teacher Induction. Anyone need to recuse himself? All right, seeing none, Ms. Nahara, will you please begin?
Thank you so much. And we're 1 minute until good afternoon, committee members. It's a pleasure to be here this morning to share the report on the virtual site visit to El Dorado County Office of Education, which took place May 16th through 18th of this year for their teacher induction program. The hard work and professionalism of the site visit team members, Jessica Brown and Linda Friedman, who reviewed evidence both leading up to and during the visit, along with the outstanding leadership and guidance of our team lead, Shelley Groom, led to a thorough review of Edco's high quality and standards-based teacher induction program. I would like to thank and recognize the extraordinary work of Jill Morton, Director of Professional Development, Mary Jo Verbitsky and Brittany Carper, the two PD coordinators, Ellen Kroon, the program assistant, and the county office leadership for accommodating the visit with no technical glitches and seamless participation of all program constituents. As we all know, preparing for a site visit is a heavy lift under the best of circumstances, and Edco's team overcame the obstacles stemming from the global pandemic and the sub shortages that all of our LEA friends are experiencing. And they had the additional hardship of supporting their community through the wildfires of the summer and fall of 2021. But like all good induction programs, building relationships and providing supports is just what they do. And this is what the team heard from the constituent groups throughout the visit. At this point, I would normally turn the presentation over to our team lead, but unfortunately, Shelley cannot be here with us today due to illness. So I'll do my best to present what I think she would have shared with you if she was able to be here today. During initial program and common standards document review, the team realized that there was an especially unique aspect to the Edco teacher induction program, which was their program's e-course. The e-course was initially designed in 2014, and it was revised when the new induction standards changed in 2016. And since then, they've continuously refined the e-course into its current form. In a nutshell, the team learned and confirmed that candidates and mentors are guided through a systemic inquiry process that includes self-assessment, goal setting, evidence gathering and review, and reflection. This process is broken up into bite-sized tasks that, when entered into the e-course, ultimately result in a final ILP document that perfectly captures the candidate's growth over each year in the program. You can see how essential this foundational knowledge was to understand the program structure and design. And for this reason, the team had a lengthy 2-week out pre-visit with program leadership. And through expert guidance from Mary Jo, we were able to walk through the e-course as candidates, mentors, and from the program perspective to really understand how each group experiences the e-course. Based on the conversations, once the site visit started, I can say that the reviewers were most impressed by the following 3 cornerstones of Edco's teacher induction program. The first is that the team mentioned several times how often they heard during interviews with candidates and mentors about how supportive and accessible and how responsive the program coordinators were. Reviewers constantly heard that the email responses often came within the hour, but definitely by the end of the workday. And feedback on work submitted for program review was provided within 24 to 48 hours. Just-in-time support is embedded throughout all levels of the program. The program staff clearly provided this support to all the constituencies, which set a really excellent example for mentors in how they work with their candidates. The second notable takeaway was the unity of the induction team and the county office leadership. In meetings held during the weeks before the visit, the team noticed that everyone from the director to the assistant could speak to every aspect of program design. It became clear that the importance of relationship building isn't only a priority for candidates and their mentors, it's also from the county leadership. Once they were interviewed, the team saw that this core belief of building a community of educational partners extends all the way from the top of the institution down. These relationships generate feelings, and candidates expressed feeling supported by their mentors and the program as a whole. I think this was captured best by a candidate saying what I might think might be my favorite site visit quote ever. This program really respected us as professionals in the right way at the right time without it being too much. Finally, the team was impressed by the standards-based design of the program and its e-course. Once we were able to do a deep dive into the e-course, the team learned how reflective candidates were when examining their practice. In their reflections, candidates detailed their own growth and examined student work to demonstrate that the candidate growth ultimately led to improved student learning. The only aspect of the program that caused the team a bit of concern came when they discussed Program Standard 4, which is qualifications, selection, and training of mentors. The standard language directs the program to ensure that the mentor, as a part of their successful mentoring experience, has the ability to periodically review the ILP with candidates. The current program structure does not provide access to the mentors to view candidate ILPs. Reviewers heard in interviews that the candidates share their ILP with their mentors when asked, but reviewers were unclear about how a mentor who does not request access to the ILP can periodically review the actual document with their candidate. It's important to note that currently there are a couple of checks already built into the process. The program's discussion guides frequently prompt candidates to review the ILP with their mentors, and program coordinators compare mentor meeting notes that they submit to the e-course with candidate e-course submissions throughout the year to check for agreement. And while these were reassuring to the team, they believe that the standard does require the program to provide the mentor access to the actual ILP document so that they don't have to be tasked with gaining access or viewing the document in problematic ways like via screenshots. I know that the program is already taking action to respond to this concern, which I'm sure they'll speak about with you shortly. This brings us to the team's finding and accreditation recommendation. The team found that all preconditions and common standards were met. They also found that all program standards were met, with the exception of Program Standard 4, which was found to be met with concerns. The team recommends accreditation with a 7th year report to follow up on this one finding. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Naharo. We now invite institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. We remind you it's not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather provide any thoughts that you have about the visit itself.
Thank you very much. I first want to thank the site visit team and especially would like to recognize Christina. The year with Christina was instrumental in preparing for a successful site visit, and she and Shelley Broom, our team lead, really worked with us on this one piece of the standard to look at ways that we can best meet that standard and looking at the feedback from the mentor. So we, as Christina mentioned, we've already started to revise some of our materials. We do have a completion guide that partners with the e-course that guides the mentor and candidate through the development and implementation of the ILP. And we're going to specifically call out those reviews with the ILP throughout their development. And then we're going to ask, again, calling it out within the meeting logs, that they log it as an ILP review, the mentor does with their candidate. So as program is reviewing those mentor logs, we really truly do see that the mentor is having access to the ILP and reviewing that with the mentor. We are going to survey, because our site visit came so late, we didn't have an opportunity to survey our mentors to find out how they best would like to access that ILP, whether because they also have an e-course, whether they would just like a button on their e-course if they feel that the access through with their candidate on their e-course is best. So we really want to hear from them of what would best meet their needs. So once we have that, then we'll go ahead and move forward with any adjustments that need to be made.
And I would like to thank the team who came to visit. I didn't even meet Christina before the visit, but knew Christina's name because Jill and I met frequently. And I knew, Christina, you were doing a lot, to check in and helping with this, to make this process as smooth as possible. Challenging enough in person, but to have it feel so personalized by a team when it was done remotely, we really appreciate it. As a county office, we're charged with supporting our districts through continuous improvement processes. We take continuous improvement very seriously, and we appreciate that you have involved us in this opportunity to review our own program. Want to tell you that we celebrate Jill, Mary Jo, and Brittany, who have been doing such a good job. It's important to celebrate those things, and want to thank you for your very careful consideration of all the work that's been done.
All right, thank you. This is now an opportunity for the committee offer any comments or questions you may have regarding the report. Co-Chair Martinez.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, congratulations to the El Dorado County Office of Ed team. Very clear that this is a very high quality program from all the evidence in the team report. This is a question, it would have been for the team lead, but for the consultant, based on all the evidence of the high quality programming, can you tell me about the team's decision to require a 7th-year report? Evidence today shows that action's already being taken to address that problem.
Yeah, the team discussed this quite a bit. There was a big discussion of whether to just, have a regular accreditation or the 7th-year report. I think the team landed on just the importance of responding to the mentor. While we heard that mentors had access to the ILP when they requested it, we also heard once the first person said, it'd be really nice to see it though. We heard a lot, the team in those interviews heard a lot of echoing of that sentiment. Like, yes, that would be really great. And so really that's truly what the 7th-year report, the hopes of the 7th-year report were to see how the program responded to that mentor request. Because they didn't seem to have heard that before. So we wanted to make sure that they heard it and that it got responded to. I think it was one of those things that once a mentor said it, other people jumped on with, yeah, I agree. And so I don't think even the mentors realized it was something that they wanted prior to hearing that comment.
Thank you. I appreciate that explanation.
Thank you. Member Tchaikovsky.
I appreciate Co-Chair Martinez's question just now, and I would just like to say that I appreciate that call for a 7th-year report, because this is all continuous improvement for all of us, and it's helpful, I think, for us to see how it is that we can capture evidence of this very critical role of the ILP as this kind of fulcrum around which the relationship of candidate and mentors should revolve, right? How can we actually use it not just as a, requirement, as a form in the box kind of thing, and instead help programs to really use it to leverage the positive growth that's possible. So, technology, let's see what you decide to do in terms of technology. You're talking about this course you have. Is it going to be a button? I'm interested in knowing which way you decided to go and why, because then that could be helpful for as a model or an example for other programs. Consider all these different applications of Google and of shared documents, of comments, inserting comments that are timestamped. Like, that's a super easy way for you to monitor and support this ongoing interaction between and among mentors and candidates. So, there's a lot of infrastructure in the online platforms now that we didn't even know about before COVID. So yay, silver lining. Thank you for being willing to share that with us.
Thank you, Member Tchaikovsky. Any other committee member have any comment or question you wish to offer? Any seeing none, this is an action item. Is there a motion? Motion by Member Hillis.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation of accreditation at the 7th-year report for El Dorado County Office of Education.
Thank you. So moved. Is there a second? Second by Member Crecia. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. Martini, for joining us, Ms. Morton. Thank you, Ms. Naharo, for your work. And thank you, Ms. Groom. I understand you're not feeling well. You can't join us. But again, thank you. We want to acknowledge on the record for your efforts as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to item 17. It's the report of the accreditation team, the University of California, Irvine. Administrator Erin Sullivan will introduce the item. Joining her today is team lead James Marshall and institutional representatives Doran Zinger, Director of UC Irvine Cal Teach Program, Erica Offit, Program Coordinator, Administrative Credential Programs, and Virginia Panish, Director, Master of Arts in Teaching Program. Does anyone need to recuse himself? Ms. Sullivan, will you please begin?
Good morning, good afternoon. Sorry, for our friends joining via Zoom, we're slightly distracted here by traffic noises outside, of course, right as my item's coming up. So good afternoon. I'm happy to present to you sorry, I was very distracted, clearly. The site visit report for the site visit to University of California, Irvine. So University of California has 9 campuses. All 9 campuses do offer some kind of educator preparation in California, and Irvine is certainly one of them. The site visit was held on May 9th through 12th. For those of you who are maybe extremely calendar adept, will notice that this was a Monday through Thursday visit. Typically they are Sunday through Wednesday. I will take responsibility for having scheduled site visits this year that began on Mother's Day, and would like to thank my colleagues in the field for pointing that out so that we could get that moved so that nobody's mothers could be angry with us as we stepped into a site visit. The team that you see here with us, Virginia, Doran, and Erica, minus Erica's amazing sidekick and colleague Sunny, was the team that I worked with on a monthly basis every month for a year in preparation for this site visit. And what I can say is that they possess a wonderful attention to detail. They asked excellent questions and were very engaged in the process of getting themselves ready to have a successful site visit. I was very happy to work with James Marshall, who I can say now, this was his first role as a team lead, and he did an excellent job leading the team and making the site visit institution feel very comfortable and very engaged with during this process. And with that, I will turn things over to Jim Marshall. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you so much, Erin. It is my pleasure and also a privilege to have this be my first assignment as team lead. I continue personally to benefit from my relationship here, having previously been mostly on the other side of accreditation. It has been personally and professionally rewarding to serve as reviewer, then common standards, and now as team lead. So I want to thank the commission for these opportunities, because in the spirit, as one of the committee members said, in the spirit of continuous improvement, these roles also are key in that process. I am also very thankful that my first visit that I led was such a successful one. And that is in large part due to the folks that are on the screen next to me today, Virginia, Erica, Doran, and Sunny. All, I echo Erin's comments, did an amazing job preparing for us with detailed amounts of data, as well as the occasional additional requests being fulfilled within minutes, if not less than an hour. So we benefited from that greatly, both prior to and during the visit itself. I had an amazing team of folks with Lori Kersey-Reed and Dennis Eastman on common standards, and then Lynn Scott, Nicole Schneider, Glenn Sewell as program reviewers. And we did review both preliminary, multiple subject and single subject authorization, bilingual in Spanish, the reading and literacy added authorization, and then both preliminary and clear administrative services credentials. The team and I concluded that one of the hallmarks of this program really comes in the intersection between research and practice. And that was evident in the materials that we reviewed, as well as throughout the interviews we conducted. Repeatedly, we heard from mentor teachers and employers that when UCI's candidates and completers show up, they not only know what to do, but they know why to do it. And that was a competitive advantage as considered by these interviewees when they would compare the UCI folks to other preparation programs with which they work. It's not surprising then that one of the hallmarks of this program, another, is actually partnerships. And through across the unit, they do run multiple partnerships. I think the one we probably learned most about through our interviews was OCEAN, which stands for, it's a clever acronym, the Orange County Educational Advancement Network. And through this partnership, they bring together K-12 organizations, nonprofits, NGOs, as well as the School of Education in an effort to collaboratively improve outcomes for young people across the region. So those rich partnerships certainly speak to the fact that these candidates and those who are exiting programs arrive prepared and more than ready to do their jobs. Another thing that we heard about this program regularly was that it was intensive. And I think what is gratifying is that when you have an intensive program, you either do or don't have the reciprocal side of that, which is the necessary supports to get people through. We saw very regular evidence of those supports in everything from dedicated space for folks to actually do work at the School of Education when they're on campus, to leadership intervening when schedules between time in the field and time at the university were in conflict. They would intervene and advocate and work to actually change the university's class schedule to allow folks the access they need. And for those of you who are at universities, perhaps you, like I, can reflect on that. Usually takes an act of an higher power to get a class schedule change. So very much impressive, those supports. And again, it goes beyond what I've mentioned as discussed in the report. Our interviews were consistent to the point of reaching saturation for each of these programs, where we heard again and again in a 360-degree view from employers through those in the program today and those who had completed the program, as well as the program staff and faculty, that the standards are being met. And so as a result of our review, I would then share with you, as we did with the university, that our recommendation is for accreditation across all of the programs and also with the common standards. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. A very thorough report, and welcome aboard as team lead. We now invite institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. We remind you that this is not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather provide any thoughts you had about the visit itself.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was it's so gratifying to hear such a wonderful report because we all work so hard in the program and also working as a team to get organized for your visit. And we couldn't have done that without Aaron Sullivan's support for months and months, answering all our questions and looking at how we'd organize things. So thank you so much, Aaron. And thank you, James, for being such a receptive team lead and for working with us through the site visit to make it successful and rewarding and educational for us. So thanks so much. And I want to thank Dorn and Erica and Sunny as well for just being such wonderful colleagues.
Great, thank you for your comments. Anyone else from the institution wish to offer a comment? All right, seeing none. Any committee members have any comments or questions you'd like to offer?
Well, I would just like to say kudos and congratulations for such a strong report to the institution for the great work you're doing, and also to our team lead, our consultants, and all the reviewers. Well done. It was really a pleasure to read the report.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, seeing none, it's an action item. Is there a motion? Member Forbes.
I move we accept the the team's recommendation of accreditation for UC Irvine teacher education programs.
Thank you. So moved. Is there a second? Second by Member Gracia. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you, Dr. Zinger, Dr. Offit, Dr. Panish, and
Thank
also
you.
thank you, Dr. Marshall and Ms. Sullivan, as always. Thank you all. And thanks for patience in waiting for us. Now we'll go to lunch, which is we are going to do. But before we go to lunch, just thank you for going through the full agenda this morning. Awful lot. There are some good discussions taking place. When we come back from lunch, the items 5, 7, and 9, we're going to move to the afternoon, and that's kind of up to your discretion where you think we could squeeze it in, you and Co-Chair Martinez. Okay. All right. So I don't want to shortchange lunch, but we also don't want to shortchange things. If we came back at 10 after with the big hand on that clock, that'll give us just about 45 minutes for lunch. Does that sound good? Okay. We'll see you all then. Thank you. So 10 after 12. 10 after 1, excuse me. 10 after 1. All right. Thank you.
Okay, welcome back. Do we have the next representatives from Palos Verdes Peninsula here? Great. Okay, we're going to start back then with item number 18. Item 18 is the second quarterly report for Palos Verdes Peninsula. Consultant Dr. Michelle Williams-George will introduce this item. Joining her is team lead Melissa Metz-Hall and institutional representative Samantha Liddell, coordinator, and Kelly Keller, assistant superintendent of human resources. Does anyone need to recuse themselves? Okay, Mrs. Williams-George, will you please begin?
Thank you. Good afternoon, and I hope you all enjoyed your lunch. Agenda item 18 includes the second quarterly report submitted by Palos Verdes Peninsula Unified School District and addresses stipulations resulting from their December 2021 accreditation visit. Following the finding of accreditation with major stipulations at the February 2022 meeting, the Committee on Accreditation directed Palos Verdes Peninsula Unified School District to provide updates to staff at quarterly intervals, culminating in a December 2022 revisit. These quarterly reports document progress made toward addressing stipulations identified in the accreditation report. The first quarterly report was presented to you at the March 2022 meeting. Palos Verdes Peninsula Unified School District offers 2 educator preparation programs, a clear administrative services credential, which the district identifies as PV Lead, and a teacher induction program for which the district is the lead district for the South Bay Teacher Induction Consortium. Both Ms. Liddell and Ms. Keller, who are with us today, have been diligently working on both educator preparation programs to address the stipulations. The full report can be found on the institution's website, which is linked on page 2 of the agenda item. And this agenda item summarizes the full report and encompasses both the quarter 1 and quarter 2 report actions. I would like to highlight a few items which demonstrate Palos Verdes Peninsula's progress thus far. First, as a result of the first of a series of meetings of the advisory committee facilitated by Ms. Liddell, the committee established a permanent diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI agenda item for all of their meetings. The intent of this is to keep the work of diversifying the educator pool at the forefront of their discussions. 2 practices have been significantly revised based on analysis of relevant feedback from constituents. Exit interviews were amended to obtain more actionable feedback from completers, and the professional development plan for mentors was modified to provide more opportunities for practice. And in Palos Verdes Peninsula's report, you'll see references to meetings with multiple constituencies and for a variety of reasons. These meetings have the common purpose of information dissemination and transparency and are in the service of assessing, modifying, or establishing policies and procedures relevant to addressing stipulations, as well as expanding their collaborative relationships with IHEs and other educational agencies. So this quarter saw the creation of many of those policies and procedures that were discussed at these meetings, and development of more relationships. The expectation for Q3 is the implementation and analysis of the results of these policies and procedures. So it is staff's recommendation that the Committee on Accreditation accept this report from Palo Verde Peninsula Unified School District, but take no further action at this time as the program continues to address the stipulations placed upon it by the Committee on Accreditation. And staff will continue to work with the institution to provide assistance with the remaining quarterly report and the upcoming revisit. Thank you.
Thank you. We now invite the institutional representatives to briefly comment about the report. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you, committee members and Dr. Williams-George. I'd like to thank the Commission and the site review team for this opportunity to examine and showcase our program's continuous improvement and adaptation. One thing all the candidates in our program know that I always say is one thing you can count on, that this program will always change. It's ever changing. It never stays the same because it's based on candidate feedback and stakeholder feedback. Just as teachers are being asked to meet the wide gap of students' needs, this program is also working to meet the large gap of new educators' needs. Our site visit came at a very critical time in education when teachers were asked to move their classrooms to their homes, sometimes even instructing from their own bedrooms, and created an engaging online coursework, sometimes in the matter of 48 hours. Many of this year's teachers in our program had never even been in a classroom. As a result, the program is continuously adapting to meet the needs of its constituents. For example, site leaders and mentors are seeing the need to take a deeper look at classroom management strategies. Procedures as simple as lining up outside a classroom or managing classroom supplies now take twice as long as they did before school closures. And as a result, this program will offer more professional development in the area of classroom management strategies. In order to address this large gap of the student needs, the program is diving deeper into analyzing student learning. This is allowing candidates to really differentiate and address those gaps. And candidates are verbally expressing how appreciative they are of this opportunity. Although it is challenging and cognitively demanding, they are seeing the benefits and how it is improving their practice. I heard one committee member earlier today say that she was talking about the silver linings of working in such challenging times and about the benefits of Google. We have also used that so that our review team is providing candidates with immediate feedback on all their submission work so that it is timely. I'd also like to share this opportunity and respectfully to carefully examine as we are aligning our program to the standards and responding to the stipulations and collaborating with other programs. I have learned that several feeder preliminary programs have not provided candidates with the individual development program plan or equivalent document. So creating that alignment to preliminary programs has been inconsistent, as was found in the stipulations. However, having that opportunity to look deeper in that, there is the reason for that. So we are revamping this year, and we are requiring individual development plans as part of the admission requirements so that we can address it right away. Similarly, supporting candidates with the passing of the RECA and the TPA and fulfilling all these requirements. Formerly a preliminary program responsibility has shifted to induction. Respectfully, I ask the Commission to hold preliminary programs accountable for these responsibilities and for empathy, as we are a relatively small program supporting over 80 candidates, over 50 mentors from 6 different districts. And this is a new challenge as I am learning RECA coursework and how to help people pass TPA.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And how about other representatives from the institution? Any comments?
Thank you for this opportunity to be here today. We sort of mark this as our halfway point, and I would just like to point out to the Commission that we are actively always working in coordination with Michelle about how to best improve whatever is our form of template, or how we're trying to show the commission all of the improvements that we're making and best document that, not only along the year-long timeline, but simply just in its presentation. And what is the most efficient way, I guess, to communicate with you regarding that, and trust that we are always seeking those ways to show the hard work that we are doing.
Thank you. How about any questions or comments from committee members? Okay, well, I would like, on behalf of the committee, thank you for all your work and the thorough report. I appreciate your comments and just all the work that's happened and what you're kind of learning through the process and implementing. So thank you. This is an action item. Do I have a motion to accept the second quarterly report from Palos Verdes Peninsula? Member Morrison.
I move that we accept the second quarterly report from Palos Verdes Unified.
Thank you. How about a second? Member Krisha. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Liddell, Ms. Keller, Ms. Mettal, and Dr. Williams-George. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, that moves us on to item number 19, the discussion of the 7th year report from Burbank Unified School District. Consultant Gay Roby will introduce this item. Joining her today is institutional representatives Lucia Bowers, Teacher Induction Program Coordinator for Burbank Unified School District. Does anyone need to recuse themselves? Okay, welcome back, Ms. Roby.
Thank you very much.
And will you please begin?
Thank you. I have no special fairy godmother or paraphernalia, unfortunately. It's just me again. So, Burbank's USD's virtual site visit was held in late February of 2021. The COA accreditation status that was assigned was an accreditation with a 7th year report. And that report was to focus on two different things: the adjustment of the program design to be better aligned with the 2016 induction standards, specifically the reliance on the ILP as the sole documentation of teacher growth, and then the design and implementation of a system that systematically recognizes the mentors and their work. Significant to this report, Burbank Unified School District experienced a change in program leadership. I'm thinking it was just after the first of the year, but Lucia can tell us later on which is when she actually did take over. But Lucia Bowers is now the coordinator in the coordinator position, but she had enough information about the program that she was able to complete the 7th year report during this past month. And a link to that posted report is included in this agenda item. As a reminder, the program reported on 4 changes for each of these 2 items that needed work. First of all, in regards to the 2016 program standards, first, they require only the ILP as the sole documentation of growth for a candidate's professional practice. Secondly, they provided evidence that their completion checklist and the scoring guide has been updated, and they removed any requirement of any other extra activities. Thirdly, former, what she called assignments, are now optional resources that mentors can use with individual candidates according to that candidate's need. And they removed the box that was labeled resources on the ILP. And finally, they now offer alternative ways to communicate meeting content if they need to miss one of the PLC meetings that were formerly required and are now optional. For the second piece that they were asked to focus on, the program has implemented 4 different ways to recognize their mentors, which I thought some of them were very, very clever. First of all, they do a shout out in their weekly program to mentor newsletter. So one mentor is highlighted each week. Secondly, they sent notes of appreciation first to the mentors themselves, along with a cute little tea bag to have a cup of tea on the program. And then they sent a second notice of appreciation to the mentor's administrator, outlining their particular skills and strengths for that mentor. And then finally, they have an end of the year celebration and then made sure that they recognized each mentor during that end of year celebration. As is our usual, the report has been shared with the team lead, who unfortunately was out of town and missed responding on a timely basis. So we talked this morning, and then we talked with Lucia. So she has some changes she would like to see in the report, both of which Lucia has always agreed to do. The team lead suggests first that the resources box that has been removed from the ILP be reinstated, but really emphasize that this is an optional box. This way, it would emphasize that the participating teachers' pathway has been individualized, because only things that they need for their particular growth would be put into that box, rather than something that was required of the program. And then secondly, the team lead suggested that the word assignments throughout the report was a little bit of a misnomer, because they really aren't assignments. She suggested that they be called activities, because the emphasis is on these are voluntary actions. They are collaboratively agreed upon between the mentor and the participant. Then they are used only when the candidate has a specific need in that area. So the mentor may monitor them for ongoing formative use, but they are not required for program completion. So she suggested the word activities would be a better word for those things. Lucia Bowers, the current program coordinator, joins us online today, and either one of us are happy to address any of the committee members' questions.
Thank you, Ms. Roby. Ms. Bowers, would you like to comment on behalf of the institution?
I would, thank you. First, the main thing that I would like to express is just my gratitude to Gay and to everyone on the CTC for working with me, for really guiding me and offering me so much support myself as a new person in this role. It does feel like my first year of teaching again, so I often find parallels between the position that I'm in as a new educator, taking on induction, and the mentees and mentors that I work with. And so in that sense, Gay, you've been a great mentor to me, guiding me along the way, but also, you know, giving me flexibility to do the work in my own way. So I appreciate you very much. Thank you so much for all of that help and support this year. My name is Lucia Bowers. I should start with that, I guess. I took over in Burbank Unified in mid-February, after a very long and successful run by Rebecca Milwaukee, who had been the program coordinator for 7 years in Burbank. She's a fantastic friend of mine. We've worked together for my entire career. She was one of the people I met during my induction program way back when it was BITSA. Burbank has worked really hard this year to create a smooth transition between the two of us, because one thing we didn't want is for there to be a disruption in the program. As our new teachers are just getting used to so many changes, one thing that we were trying to avoid was having just another shock to the system by having a new person come in. So really my job was just to see through Rebecca's vision and to carry it through to the end of the year, although I did have the opportunity to add my own flair to it. One of the main things that I feel that we brought to the table, that I in particular brought to the table, was our dedication to recognizing mentors. As a person who has served in many leadership roles as a teacher, I know that oftentimes we rely on our classroom leaders to carry a burden, and it can be overwhelming at times. So I wanted to make sure that our mentor teachers understood and felt how much we appreciate their work and how this program wouldn't survive without them and their tireless efforts to support our new teachers. So to me, it was crucial to offer larger ways of supporting and recognizing them, but also just having small moments one-to-one with our mentor teachers, checking in, even if that was just a quick text or a quick email to say, how are you doing? How can I support you as you're doing the work as a mentor? And many of them were very thankful for that, as this was quite an overwhelming year. To me, it was important for them to know that if they needed help and support, we were there for them as well as for their teachers. So I feel like we were successful in meeting that goal. As far as the changes to the ILP, again, I was mostly charged with sticking with the previous vision and keeping that afloat this year. Gay was instrumental in pointing out a few things, lingo that I wasn't quite up to snuff with, like the use of the word assignments. I really appreciated that feedback, because one thing that we've worked really hard on this year is making sure that our new teachers don't feel overwhelmed in the process. Some of our teachers, this was the first year that they were in a classroom. They had previously just been teaching virtually. And so for them, we wanted to make sure that the ILP was a testament of their journey, but not a burden. And many of them reported that they felt that the ILP was manageable, that it did take time and it did take effort, but that truly it was just documentation of their learning journey. And so we don't want them to feel like they have assignments that need to be done. So I'm going to make sure to change that language going forward. Other than that, I believe that Gay has done all the heavy lifting, expressing the changes that we've made this year. I'm really looking forward to working with her and with the rest of the team at the CTC going forward. We have some exciting things coming ahead with our new teacher program, and I'm excited for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bowers. How about any questions or comments from committee members? Okay, this is an action item. Do I have a motion to accept the 7th year report from Burbank Unified School District? Member Tchaikovsky, do I have a second? Oh, sorry, you need to do the motion
As
first.
stated, Co-Chair Martinez.
Go ahead, could you please repeat it?
Yeah, I move that we accept the 7th year report from Burbank.
Thank you. Now, do I have a second? Member Forbes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Bowers and Ms. Roby. Appreciate you being with us today. Okay, moving on to item number 20. The report of accreditation of the accreditation team visit to the University of California, Davis. Administrator Erin Sullivan will introduce this item. Joining her is team lead Dr. Edmundo Lipton and institutional representatives Dr. Margarita Jimenez Silva, Chair of Teacher Education, and Dr. Lola Muldrew, Associate Chair of Teacher Education. Does anyone need to recuse themselves? Okay, Ms. Sullivan, will you begin, please?
I will, thank you. Didn't think about it until just now that I get the 2 UC accreditation reports on your agenda today. So I have very little to say other than what's in the report. I was not the consultant for the site visit. It was Bob Locks, who, as you all know, has retired. So I agreed basically to just introduce the team lead, Edmundo Litton. So I'm very glad that he's been able to join us. I will just say that the site visit did proceed without any unusual circumstances. So with that, I'll let Edmundo take the lead.
Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of the site visit team and CTC consultant Bob Locks, I'd like to thank the UC Davis School of Education community for providing us with the information that was necessary for us to be able to determine how well the program is preparing teachers. The team saw that the commitment of the UC Davis faculty, staff, partners, and candidates to promote social justice. The institution collaborates with various organizations, including neighboring school districts, to ensure that schools are moving closer to the goal of providing equitable education for all students. The candidates and district partners who were interviewed consistently stated that they appreciated the care and support that was provided to them. Faculty and staff in the UC Davis School of Education are held in high regard by the communities they serve. After examining all the evidence that was presented, the site visit team is making a unanimous recommendation of accreditation to the Committee on Accreditation. The team determined that all common standards and all program standards for multiple single agricultural specialists and the bilingual authorization in Spanish and Mandarin have been met. The site visit team concluded that the University of California, Davis, when judged as a whole, meets or exceeds the Commission's adopted common standards and program standards. The University of California, Davis is judged to be effective in preparing educators and is demonstrating overall quality in its programs and general operations. Thus, the unanimous recommendation of the site visit team is accreditation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Litton. We now invite the institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. Remind you that this is not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather to provide any thoughts you had about the visit.
Thank you. This is Margarita Jimenez Silva. I'm the current chair of teacher education at UC Davis. I just wanted to thank the accreditation team for a very smooth visit. We're honored that I think may have been Bob Lox's last accreditation report. So we're honored to have been part of that. Thank you to Edmundo, Emma, Aaron, and Virginia for all the support, the organization, the constant communication. It went as smoothly as it could have gone. So thank you. We also want to acknowledge that the whole experience has really provided an avenue to make our program even stronger, to think through the processes and be intentional as we move forward with this next 7 years of the process. We continue to think through what specific practices we can put in place to support our students. We've become a lot more intentional in terms of how we're going to go about recruiting and retaining students, specifically those from underrepresented communities. So it has really, the process has really made us make everything more explicit as we go about it and intentional. We're also, another big goal that came up as we were preparing for the report that we're really being intentional about is further integrating the technology aspects and the neurodiversity as well as other forms of diversity into our curriculum across the program. So, and then finally, mental health is another thing that has really come up in the last couple of years, that through this process, we're thinking about how to make, again, the supports more explicit there. So thank you to you. Thank you to the accreditation team for helping us figure out how to better support our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments from the institution? Okay. How about questions or comments from committee members? Member Czechowski.
Yes, thank you for being here, and congratulations on the report and the visit and the recommendation. I just noticed that you included 133 candidates in this process, and the fact that so much voice for this report came from your candidates says a lot about you. It says a lot about their pride in the program, their sense of solidarity along with you. So awesome. That's pretty cool.
Thank you. Yes, we thankfully we have a very strong community. We have a lot of faculty who are still very much embedded in the community and keep in touch with our students. So yes, we were overwhelmed with their responsiveness as well, and are thankful for it.
Any other questions or comments from committee members? Okay, this is an action item. Do I have a motion? Member Forbes?
I move we accept the recommendation of accreditation for the UC Davis teacher preparation programs.
Okay, and do I have a second? Member Hillis? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Silva, Dr. Muldrew, Dr. Litton, and Dr. Sullivan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 21.
Can I jump in for a second?
Please.
It's a little early for item number 21.
Okay.
I think we're a little early, but we can go back to item 7 if you would like to do that one. Maybe 7 and 9. I'm assuming we don't have the folks on for 2 o'clock. So.
What about 5?
We can go back to 5 too, but let's start. I think 7 and 9 are action items, so I'd like to get those in under the.
Sorry, I'm just a little.
That's okay. Item 7.
Okay. Item 7 is a report of program status changes. This item is divided into 2 parts. Part 1 includes items for action by the COA, which include requests to withdraw, requests to reactivate inactive programs, and or requests to add a new content area to an existing program. Part 2 provides information on programs that have transitioned to revised program standards and programs that have elected to change to inactive status. These items are for notification only and require no action by the COA. So part 1, sections A, B, and C. Section A, program withdrawals. Section A is for action. There is one program sponsor withdrawing 3 programs. So that is Azusa Pacific University, Clear Administrative Services withdrawn effective June 30th, 2022. The Preliminary Administrative Services credentialed effective June 30th, 2022. And Teacher Librarian effective November 1st, 2022. This section is for action. Are there any recusals? Do I have a motion? Member Tchaikovsky?
I move that we approve the recommendation for withdrawal of Azusa Pacific University's programs.
Okay, so the 3 credential programs. Do I have a second? Co-Chair Frelly. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Okay, motion carries. Section B, programs requesting reactivation. We have no programs requesting reactivation at this time. Section C, adding a new content area. There are no programs requesting to add a new content area. Part 2, sections D and E. The next 2 sections, D and E, are for notification purposes only. No action is required. Section D, programs transitioning. The items listed below are for notification purposes only. No action is needed. 72 institutions. So this is for the preliminary education specialist standards. 72 institutions have submitted all required documentation to transition to the Commission adopted 2018 Education Specialist Program Standards and Teaching Performance Expectations. The listed programs are presented in the agenda item on page 3. Thank you staff, in particular Sarah Solari Colombini and William Hattrick, for shepherding this work to make sure that all approved programs will be offering programs aligned to the new standards beginning July 1st. Do any COA members have any questions on the list? Okay. Seeing
I just
none,
want to say
go
something
ahead.
on that it's been a long journey for these ed specialist programs, and July 1st is the big day. And so there is communication coming from the commission to programs that are in the ed specialist world. A couple of credential information alerts allowing credential analysts to understand how to recommend for these new credentials, how to deal with an out-of-state candidate and how that changes. There's a coded correspondence coming out from the commission as well. So that all should be out hopefully by the end of the week. But it's a big day that's been coming for many years. So we're all excited about this new phase. And staff has done a really wonderful job of working with all these institutions to get them ready.
Thank you for that, Ms. Hickey. Ms. Forbes, Member Forbes.
I've had a flashback of being a 6th grade teacher, Miss Forbes. I guess my only question is this list, does this mean all institutions that are approved are ready to transition?
Yes. And we didn't include the specific programs under each one because it would have gone on for many pages, but it's all of the ed specialist programs that are under each one of those institutions. So everybody is ready to transition. Absolutely. So we'll have the only ones that will be getting the old credential are people that are continuing, that have already been enrolled prior. They're allowed to continue, obviously, catalog rights and that kind of thing. So, but starting with new enrollees, they will all be under the new standards.
Well, that's a cause for celebration. Just thanks to everyone involved on that big lift and making that happen. And day after tomorrow, July 1st. So we're here. Thanks, everyone. Okay, should we move on to item number 9?
Did I hear that we had everybody for that item? So it's your choice whether to move to 9 or whether to move to 21.
Let's go back to 21 since we have the representatives with us. Okay, item 21 is a report of actions taken to remove stipulations from Pleasanton Unified School District. I'd like to clarify something on this report. Staff has brought to my attention that the title of this agenda item should have been the report of the revisit team to Pleasanton Unified School District to reflect that a revisit took place and this agenda item is the result. This title will be adjusted before the report is put on the site visit report page. Consultant Poonam Bedi will introduce this item. Joining her is team lead Carol Kloss and institutional representatives Michael Williams, Senior Director, Human Resources, Kim Ortiz, Director, Human Resources, Induction, Julie Twisselman, Coordinator, Human Resources, Induction, and Kim Colton, Sarah Landis, Denise Holterhoff, PNTP coaches. Does anyone need to recuse? Okay, Ms. Betty, will you please begin?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, committee members. Item 21 presents the Pleasanton Unified School District's Accreditation Revisit Report. This revisit occurred April 27th through the 28th earlier this year. The revisit was one of 10 stipulations that was placed on the district at last June's COA meeting. At that meeting, the COA made the determination that Pleasanton's accreditation status be that of accreditation with probationary stipulations. In this year leading up to this revisit, Pleasanton has provided 3 quarterly reports, which have been presented to the COA accordingly. And the links to these quarterly reports are included in this item, along with a link to the initial site visit report. I would like to thank the Pleasanton Unified School District for their work throughout this year to address the stipulations and for organizing the revisit. I would also like to thank our revisit team, Jill, Loy, and our team lead, Carol, for their thorough review of each quarterly report and their preparation in advance of the revisit. And I would like to take a moment just to underscore that the purpose of the revisit was to make a determination on the 10 stipulations that were placed on Pleasanton. You may recall that the 3 main themes of these stipulations were the need for support of education specialists in Pleasanton's teacher induction program, the need for support and resources for the program, and also the need for a continuous improvement process based on data analysis. And in keeping those themes in mind, I will now turn this presentation over to Carol to provide an overview of the revisit team's findings.
Good afternoon, committee members. And first off, I'd like to thank Poonam and also to Jill and Lloyd Dakwa for our revisit team, who are our revisit team members. And a big thank you to Pleasanton for hosting our revisit, and to the Pleasanton Unified School District for being involved in that also. Based on early evidence provided by Pleasanton Unified School District through quarterly reports and information that was confirmed through interviews and additional documents requested, the team recommends the removal of the 10 stipulations assigned by the Committee on Accreditation. During our initial site visit, there were gaps in support for new education specialist candidates. Their advisory board had not met, and there were inconsistencies in their systems of support and the credential recommendation process. Since the site visit, Pleasanton New Teacher Project has worked diligently to make sure the standards were being met. They have a newly formed advisory board that met 3 times before the revisit, and they're starting to make decisions based on data analysis. The team feels that an updated report about the progress will guarantee that the new advisory team is up and working. And during our revisit interviews, educational specialists, teachers, had positive things to say about the new levels of support. Thus, the team recommends Pleasanton's accreditation status be changed from accreditation with probationary stipulation to accreditation. However, we would like to recommend follow-up reports. Follow-up report will allow Pleasanton USD to provide updates on the following areas that were addressed or beginning to address this year. The impact of the advisory team, which may include, but is not limited to, providing meeting agendas, minutes, and attendance. The evolution of the system of support for educational specialist candidates, including the role and impact of their new educational specialist induction coach, as well as special education mentors. And the new induction coach will begin their position in the fall of 2022. And then we also like to find out about the outcome of their May 22 colloquium and the subsequent process and planning for the colloquium for the 22-23 school year. The team recommends that one report is provided within 6 months of the Committee on Accreditation's actions of the revisit, which will basically be the end of the 2022 calendar year, and again within a year of the COA actions, which is prior to the end of the 22-23 academic year. Thank you for everyone for your cooperation. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you. We now invite the institutional representatives to briefly comment about the report.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Julie Twisselman. I'm coordinator of induction in the Pleasanton Unified Human Resources Department. I'm joined by my colleagues, Mike Williams, Senior Director of Human Resources, and Kim Calton, fabulous induction coach of our program. And in Pleasanton, we value the accreditation process and a continuous improvement model, as we've been focused on continuous improvement since we started this work 20 years ago. We'd like to share a few highlights as a result of this reaccreditation visit on April 27th and 28th. So a few of the highlights have been strengthening the partnerships in an effort to authentically support new teachers in 3 different ways. One, with our special education department, for example, hiring a special education induction coach for the 22-23 school year, and creating a special education website as a one-stop shop of resources for all of our teachers to use. The second example is strengthening partnerships with our whole human resources team. For example, creating a detailed graphic outlining the clear credentialing processes for our new teachers, and meeting regularly with our HR analyst team to build an understanding of induction and their role in the process. A third highlight was strengthening partnerships with university partners, as we established an advisory team with key stakeholder representatives and included those local representatives from our universities. We'd like to thank our teachers, administrators, induction coaches, special ed mentors, and the Board of Trustees for prioritizing induction, as our goal has always been to accelerate the development of new teachers through quality coaching and support. And we'd like to thank again our reaccreditation team, Carol, Poonam, and all the rest of the Revisit team for their support in this journey. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other institutional representatives who would like to comment?
I'd just like to share that I'm very proud of our Pleasanton Unified team and all the hard work that they've done all the way back to, as Julie mentioned, 20 years ago, up to kind of the visit that originally took place, to the revisiting process, and all the areas we focused on, improved on. It was a lot of work that was taken on with pride, and I'm proud of our team for everything that they have accomplished over this past year, but over the extent that we've had induction within the district. So I'm quite proud of that. I also like to thank Poonam, and I know I had opportunity to meet with Carol on the visit. So I want to thank you for the passion that you brought to ensuring the programs are held to a high standard, because I think that's important that we hold all of our programs, whether it's induction or any other program we have, to the highest standard. So we're proud that we met that standard, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. At this time, are there any questions or comments from the committee? Member Tchaikovsky?
Yeah, hi, thanks for being here again. And I just wanted to say that I appreciate the recommendation from the team for a 6-month and then 1 year kind of follow up on this report, because I'm interested in how this new ed specialist induction coach position functions in the context of your program. And I'm imagining that based on the commentary on the other stipulations beyond number 5 specifically, it seems like this person's role will be to provide just in time individualized feedback to your ed specialist candidates. And so I'm interested in seeing how that fits within the larger context of the other changes you have proposed. So thank you for including that.
Yes, we're very excited to bring on our ed specialist induction coach onto our team, and how we can further develop her role.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from committee members? Okay, this is an action item. Do I have a motion? Member Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, I move that we approve the recommendation to remove stipulations from Pleasanton Unified and replace and accept the recommendation for accreditation with successive reports.
Okay, do I have a second? Member Hillis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Okay, motion carries. And just congratulations for your commitment to continuous improvement, Pleasanton Unified. And I'd like to thank Ms. Claus, Mr. Williams, Ms. Ortiz, Ms. Twisselman, Ms. Carlton, and Ms. Beatty for all of your work. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do we have the team from National here? Okay, well, let's keep. Okay. Okay, we're commenting how we're on time, and at least for now, and now we're ahead a little bit. So item 22 is the report of the accreditation team to National University. Consultant William Hattrick will introduce this item. He is joined by team lead Michael Kotar and institutional representatives Dr. Robert Lee, Dean, Sanford College of Education, Dr. Donna Elder, Associate Dean, Sanford College of Education, Dr. Patricia Haydet Kirsch, Director of Clinical Practice, Sanford College of Education, and Dr. Kim Levy, Interim Vice President, Planning and Institutional Effectiveness. Mr. Hattrick, will you begin, please? No.
I requested to recuse myself on this one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes. In writing. Aaron said we were good, but. I mean, I don't know that there's a conflict of interest per se. I mean, I'm a member of the Clinical Practice Advisory Board for National, so I wrote that I would recuse myself.
So I guess what we could do today is hear it all out. Maybe do a preliminary endorsement and then bring it back for an official action next month. Would that work for all of you? That's what I'm saying. You can discuss, you can't act. Yes, and then do an abbreviated version of it in August. What's that? Yeah, we need to.
And then a summary of our discussion will then be part of the minutes that we can actually read prior to the August.
Yes, we could do that. That's a
Bring
good
everybody up
idea.
to
And we apologize to National. We are tight on the quorum, and it appears that we will lose the quorum with this.
Could we just do a quick review for the national team about what our process is going to be today?
Sure. So what we were discussing is that the COA members that are here will discuss the report, and that the discussion will be summarized in the minutes for the next meeting, and the formal action will be taken at the August meeting when we have a larger quorum, when we have a quorum, I should say. Does that make some sense for everybody? Okay. All right. All right.
Okay. How about any questions from the institution or
Yes.
before we begin?
Unless they want to wait till August 4th.
Be the prerogative, yeah.
Yes, so we will leave, if the institution wants to weigh in on that,
And also the team
what
lead.
your preference would be. And the team lead.
So how about folks from National, do you understand what we're saying? And then do you have a preference for whether we present the item now and make an official decision in August when we have our quorum? Or would you rather hold off and revisit this process or repeat the process again in its entirety in August.
Do it for the first time.
I think whatever makes sense for the commission is fine with us.
I would say discuss it now. I would think.
I would, yeah, I like.
Because then they can
propose.
preliminarily at least know.
I think so.
I think that would be helpful.
Right, and we have everybody that's here, and that
Exactly.
we get the opportunity to engage in the dialogue. We can't guarantee
Okay.
they'll be here in August, but
And
Go ahead, Ms.
if I
Sullivan.
can, then just the members that are here today that will be at the August meeting, you may sort of end up as an unofficial kind of ad hoc
sure.
as the item comes up for vote, if any of the other committee members maybe have some questions.
And we can fill in the blanks that aren't processed.
Exactly.
Clearly articulated in the minutes, yeah, which might be hard to do, so.
Okay, then sounds like our consensus then is to proceed, and I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Hattrick.
Okay, good afternoon, committee members. The virtual site visit for National University took place May 15th through 18th for their educator preparation credential programs. The institutional leadership, program directors, faculty, and staff from National were very responsive to team requests for additional information related to their credential programs and accommodating other needs of the site visit team. I would like to thank the institution for handling the Zoom interviews and making sure that everything went smoothly. The team included several new reviewers who did an outstanding job reviewing their respective programs. And in addition to interviews, the team reviewed evidence provided both before and during the site visit to determine findings on all of the common and program standards. And with that, I'll hand it over to our team lead, Mike Kotar, for more information on the specific standards findings and the team's accreditation recommendation.
Okay, thank you, William. Good afternoon, committee. I'm happy to be here to provide information on the virtual site visit to the Sanford College of Education at National University. I want to thank William for his absolutely excellent guidance of the review and visit. And I want to also extend my thanks to Dean Dr. Robert Lee, Associate Dean Dr. Donna Elder, and all the faculty and staff for welcoming the review team and making the visit collegial. It's also important to recognize the members of the review team. They were Nancy Parachini from UCLA, Barbara Howard from Concordia University, Irvine, Susan Toma Berge from the University of California at Irvine, Andrea Zetland from CSU LA, Melody Thorson from the Placer County Office of Education, and Dion Taylor from Point Loma Nazarene University. As William pointed out, we had a few new reviewers and we also had some experienced ones too. This was a team that changed several times, including just a few weeks before the visit, but the members assisted each other in doing their work before the visit, and they worked very well together during the visit. National University was founded in 1971 and currently serves about 25,000 students. The Sanford College of Education is the largest academic unit at National, and it also recommends more educators for credentials than any other California accredited institution. In 2020-21, there were 2,226 program completers across 8 programs. This preparation work is accomplished by 60 full-time faculty and 865 adjunct faculty, plus many, many staff. Many credential courses are offered through National University's 1 course per month format online. The Sanford College applies technologies and processes that allows it to deliver programs to every region of California. And it coordinates courses so that they're consistent across multiple sections. They also employ systems and technologies to manage large numbers of clinical practice placements and supervise candidates. Sanford College of Education makes very good use of assessment data and feedback from candidates, from program completers, and other educational partners. The college engages in continuous improvement practices to increase the effectiveness of programs and their operations. And the college is engaged with partners in several important innovative projects, such as their work in social and emotional learning, and also their work with teacher residency programs. The team made a thorough review of institutional and program information and materials prior to and during the visit, and we conducted 412 interviews with administrators, faculty, staff, candidates, program completers, and local personnel. Information gathered was consistent, thereby leading the team to make the recommendation of accreditation with a 7-year report with a high degree of confidence. Program standards for all programs were determined to be met, except for Standard 3, clinical practice for the preliminary multiple and single subject programs, which was met with concerns. And for the Clear Administrative Services program, Standard 3, selection and training of coaches, and Standard 4, professional learning, which were met with concerns. All common standards were met. So if we look at the multiple single subject program standard, the team was unable to confirm that the program consistently provides orientation to all program and district employed supervisors related to the program's expectations and assures that supervisors are knowledgeable about the Cal TPA. And for the Clear Administrative Services program, Standard 3, the team was unable to confirm that the induction program selects coaches using well-defined criteria and that they receive initial training prior to being assigned to a candidate. And then Standard 4D, just the D section, the team found no evidence of candidates completing an initial induction assessment designed to measure a candidate's entry-level performance in each of the program selected outcomes from Standard 5 as baseline information that can be compared in future assessments to determine the candidate's growth over time and overall competency. And at this time, I would like to turn the presentation over to Dr. Robert Lee.
Good afternoon, Commission. On behalf of National University leadership, including our Board of Trustees, the faculty and staff of the Sanford College of Education, we just wanted to express our gratitude to William Hattrick for his guidance and leadership throughout this process, and then also to team lead Dr. Kotar and his team for all the time and energy that you devoted to us throughout a very thorough accreditation review and site visit last month. With the preconditions as well as common standards that were just addressed by Dr. Kotar, I think that the review process and understanding the complexity of our programs, as well as the coordination that's required to really operate effectively across the state of California, was thoroughly addressed. And we thank you for taking the time to understand how our programs work and operate, and how we serve our students, as well as continue to serve our partners and our communities where our graduates end up serving. We also wanted to express gratitude to the review team. The 412 interviews that were conducted, certainly no small lift there. But I do know, as we've heard back from our faculty, our staff, alumni, students, and our constituent partners, that they thoroughly enjoyed the process of being interviewed and also getting an opportunity to meet and chat with the review team. So on behalf of National University, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Any other institutional representatives who would like to briefly comment? Okay, are there questions or comments from the committee members? Okay, Member Morrison.
Good afternoon, guys. And on behalf of my colleagues here, I'd like to just apologize that because of our internal workings here, we don't have a quorum to give you a final decision on this. We will be able to speak to the other members of the committee. I will certainly express the fact that I'm impressed by the work that you do Certainly the size of the organization that you run, as you pointed out, 400 interviews. It really is remarkable. And so, again, we're not going to be able to finalize this today, but I, for one, will be passing on the good work that you do.
Thank you, Member Morrison. Other committee members? And I want to thank Member Morrison. I think you expressed the sentiments of the whole committee, so thank you very much. So at this time, we're going to just table the process for now until August. We do again apologize for the delay. We'll look forward to seeing Mr. Hattrick back again on August 4th, and then we'll communicate, or you can reach out with questions about that, but we will make our final decision on August 4th at our next meeting. Any questions or comments before the team from National leaves us?
Will they need to be present?
They might want to have one representative present just in case one of the members who are not here at the moment has a question.
Okay.
Okay, and then just before we close out today with National, we'd just like to thank, I'd like to thank Team Lead, Dr. Kotar, Mr. Hattrick, and the entire National University team for your hard work and actually for such a fine report. We appreciate that and thank you. Okay, that was our final team visiting. So at this time, should we go back to item number 5, or we can move on to? So we still have 5 and 9. And thank you for leading that, William. That was a big lift, a huge organization and big team.
And a lot of changes at the last minute with the teams. That was very challenging. Yeah. All right. Item 5 is the staff reports.
Right.
So we will, let me go into that. I don't have a lot today, but I just wanted to mention that one of the things, we have gotten a request from the Council for the Accreditation of Educator Preparation, CAPE, one of the 2 national accrediting bodies, to they requested some time at your next meeting. They would like to talk a little bit about their new standards, the alignment with our standards, and just have a little bit of time to talk with you. The president, Christopher Koch, or Koch, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, and their VP of State Relations, Melina Monaco, that we've worked with quite a bit. So I've agreed to that. So we will have them in our next meeting to talk to you about whatever it is that they have they have changed their standards. They have realigned our crosswalk, and we need to do it from our end. That's part of our summer to-do list. But they have done it from their side to our side, and then we need to do it back. And then made some agreements about what that looks like. We also do need to update our state, what do you call it, the state protocol with CAPE. They would like that, I think, by October. So we're working on that as well this summer. So we've got a little bit of to-dos when it comes to the national accrediting body and some of our partnerships with them. So, so you'll hear from them in August. Just wanted to mention that August, after talking with our 2 current co-chairs, have decided that it will be a video conference like it usually is in August. So, however, it goes back to the former Bagley-Keene, or the current Bagley-Keene, not the one under COVID, but the Bagley-Keene Act that was in existence before the pandemic, which means the following. So all of you can attend via your homes or your school or someplace. The caveats are, we need to have a posting in front of wherever you're going to be that allows the public in, should they wish to be there with you. The public needs to be allowed access to every place that a committee member is. You are certainly welcome to come here if you'd like to, but essentially, if you're going to do it from a home or office, then there needs to be a posting on the door, and we'll send this information to you before the meeting as well. We also need to post that address on our agenda the agenda that goes public 10 days prior so that the public knows where to go. And what's the other thing? I think those are the two things that need to be. So there needs to be a really clear understanding. We do not, if you cannot, please participate from a Starbucks or someplace where it's noisy and loud and it's hard to be private. That'd be great. Cheryl, did you have a question about that?
We were welcome to come here. Does that mean that they would pay for our travel?
Yes, yes. If you would like to, we would do that. Yes.
Some members here, if they use this as their.
I believe we need to have at least one member here, which Marty has agreed to since he lives a few blocks away. And other than that, I think as long as we post, obviously, that this is a meeting place and anybody else participating someplace else can join any place else. So we certainly would be willing to pay for somebody else to come. The reason we do it as a teleconference is because the August meeting really is very short. It's not a long meeting. We do it to make sure that any program proposals that are out there, we are able to look at those and to approve those, because some of them may have a time sensitive, they want to get started very quickly. And the other reason this time it'll be, we had to put UC San Diego off because we definitely lost a quorum. We obviously have to deal with National University as well. And there's a couple little minor issues. What we will be doing in August is also the accreditation handbook. So I'm seeing maybe a half a day. That's why, so if I put that out there, you can all decide whether you want to make that trip or not, or want to do it from your locations. But so that's August. Any questions about August? Great.
Will it start at 8 or will it start at 9?
Haven't decided that yet. What is the will of this group? I mean, we do have, it's up to this group. You can start early if you'd like to start early. Staff is always here, so it doesn't matter. Would you prefer to start early and that way you can? Typically we do 9 because we have people that are traveling, like Jason Leah, when he's normally here, he's coming from Sonoma that day. But we can do 8:30 might be a good, comment. Would that work for you? Okay. So we could do 8. Sure. Okay. 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 Sounds good. All right. So we will shoot for 8:30 as a start time. So that's August. And then I know Karen wants to introduce somebody. We're very excited.
I hope Lynn is listening. I don't know. Are you out there, Lynn?
Do you see her?
Is she being promoted?
She's being promoted. And
Good
also,
afternoon, everyone. Just waiting for Lynn to be promoted. And you all know because she's a friend of all of you because she was one of you until June 1st, when we were fortunate enough to hire Lynn Larson, give her a round of applause, as our new grants consultant. And I know Lynn has hit the ground running. We've even been emailing back and forth as soon as 2 seconds ago. So Lynn, you can say hi or just something brief maybe. Welcome.
Everyone. Good to see you all. It's odd to be on the other side of the desk, but really enjoying my work here and been working hard on the dyslexia grants. That's mainly what I've been hitting the ground running with, also doing some work with teacher residency, computer science, and a few other things. So thrilled to be here and thrilled to be supporting you all from the other side.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks,
Thank
Lynn.
you, Lynn.
Oh, yes.
Somebody says hello.
I think that's Lily. I think
Lily.
I'm probably going to get her name wrong. But we're so happy to have Lynn on board. And so thank you for sharing her with us. We appreciate that. So we do have all of our RFAs have gone out for the grants this year, except for one. So we missed our mark by one. Teacher residency implementation will be out shortly, but not before June 30th, which is tomorrow. And as of today, we'll be announcing dyslexia grant to Preparation Programs Awards. All of the awardees know already. We've been fast and furiously getting grant award certificates back and so on. Classified also was announced this week, and computer science was announced earlier this month. So all the information is out there, and there will be more rounds of everything. Almost everything. Teacher residency, classified, computer science. Dyslexia was one-time funds, so that was it for dyslexia. The governor has signed a budget and more to be revealed, but there are just a couple out there that Cheryl thought you might be interested in. So one is the integrated grants. So there is another round of integrated grants coming, and it's a twofold. One is to plan for integrated grants, which was the original legislation back in the day. I call it BC, before CARA. The second part of it then is, since we have some integrated grants already rocking and rolling, an opportunity to expand and implement those grants, sort of a la the funding of a teacher residency. So to support candidates more than, and to support the work at the institution in addition to the planning grant. So we're kind of excited about that. It would be $250,000 per planning grant and $500,000 per the expansion or implementation grant. I'm not yet sure about the total funding for that particular grant opportunity, but as an old boss of mine used to say, more to be revealed. There's more money for teacher residency, and this is very exciting. Teacher residency, the new round will add the early childhood credential when it becomes established, as will the integrated grants. I should have mentioned that. And it also adds counselor as a shortage area for the teacher residency grants. We're not sure what a teacher residency counselor grant will look like, but we certainly will be working with our friends in the field to figure out what that could be, and to do some brainstorming and dreaming around that. So that will be an additional $184 million added to the $350 million that we had added this last fiscal year. And really importantly, I'm so jazzed. I can hear Christina out there jazzed. There will be $20 million added to fund an LEA to serve as the statewide technical assistance center for teacher residency programs. We are excited about that because I remember my first week on the job, I said, wow, look at all this money for teacher residency. And then I said, what, no help, no support, what? So here it is. The state is graciously providing support for that, for teacher residency programs. Prior to this moment in time, or even still, the California Teacher Residency Lab, which was run by the Californians dedicated to Education Foundation, has been doing an amazing amount of outreach and support and working with our grantees. So I'm sure they will be instrumental in continuing the work, but we're kind of excited that there will be a state-funded technical assistance for teacher residencies. Last but not least, there's a new grant opportunity out there that has come out. This is very similar to our computer science supplementary authorization incentive program. And now this time it will be reading and literacy supplementary authorization incentive grant. Okay, so $15 million for this particular grant. More details to come as we dig into everything that has been signed and as the work rolls out. So those are the top 4 that we know of at this juncture. So kind of exciting.
That's great. And thank you, Kara, for that. This is the time of year where things are really fluid. We don't, so there are, I think, 3 budget bills. There's a budget bill and then there's a bunch of trailer bills. There's several trailer bills. And so this is the time of year where we try to catch up to figure out, okay, what's been signed, what's been blue lined, what's good. And so, we should know very quickly, like the solid numbers and how they want things implemented in the next couple of weeks. And so more information will be coming from the commission as we know about where they all land. And, June 30th is just a made up date, even though it's a real date. The legislature can kind of do what it wants, but June 30th is the date that they have to sign the budget. But the details often come a little bit later in the summer. So yeah, Cheryl.
So I understand the supplementary authorization for computer science. What's the supplementary authorization for reading? Sorry. What's a supplementary authorization for reading? I'm not as familiar with that as, say, with computer science.
I believe it's the added authorization.
Like reading and literacy added authorization. Oh,
But we'll find out.
Well, we have one of those.
And we will let people know.
Yeah, we have that in the book. And, as long as just briefly on that subject, as you all know, we're doing a lot of work right now on literacy. I'm taking a look at literacy in our standards and our TPEs. And do we need to beef that up? Or, we do. How are we going to do that? So there is some movement in literacy, and some of it is definitely, hooked on the coattails of us getting that literacy work done, which it has a mandatory, finalization date for us of, like September 30th. September 1st, and I think we got permission to push it off by a month because the timeline was very tight, but it's happening very quickly with literacy.
Well, okay, so just to help me understand, so that to me is an added authorization to a credential. Whereas when I think of a supplementary authorization, I think of what you earn when you get like a degree or how the computer science supplementary authorization works. So those are two different things.
They are two different things. I think the supplementary authorizations are just coursework and units, whereas the added authorization is an approved program. So we have to dig down into the wording of the bill to see exactly what they're asking us.
Well, and supplementary authorizations also typically authorize a limited amount of instruction. So often you can teach up to grade 12, but you can only teach curriculum up to grade 9. So, you'd be teaching maybe 12th graders, 9th grade curriculum, which certainly happens, but that's usually what happens with the sub-auths.
It had the same word incentive in it. That's how it's similar.
Yeah.
Well, and having missed the dyslexia grant, I'm trying to think about it.
Yeah.
Really selfish question.
What would this authorization do for a teacher? What's the incentive to get this thing?
For reading, which thing? The reading one?
The one that the grant is directed at, the supplemental author, not the new reading.
The reading. I think and Kara can jump in, but it's designed for people who want to be reading coaches who are doing curriculum at the district level, that higher level reading.
Yes. And I'm trying to look for it, and I apologize. I saw a document that has come around regarding Superintendent Thurmond and the CDE is going to get funding for reading and coaches. And so I do believe it's tied to that probably. I cannot find the language on the documents I have open, but.
Well, in the last piece of legislation that I saw related to that, the SPI was able to get a deferral of a year for that work from them. And I imagine that is largely due to the fact that we are involved in something right now that's going to affect how they implement, in classrooms and how they give out that money. So they get an additional year.
Sorry, and I'm looking at it.
Yeah, great.
Go ahead.
And I do believe that there's a pay scale bump or something that goes along with that for the teachers. And I think there is some type of an incentive for the districts to have all of these additional reading and literacy authorized individuals in the district. And I forgot what it said, but I'm almost positive that's what I read, because we just finished credentialing, or in the process of credentialing. The Rialto Unified School District did almost all of theirs through our program. So there was some language around incentives and things that the district was getting in exchange for having all of their people do this, which I thought was really interesting. But
right.
I just have to make the observation as classroom teacher and then resource staff at my school that the 2 years of online learning that occurred during COVID have taken an incredible toll on students' literacy. But that term literacy, I feel like I'm dating myself. I don't know that people teach writing anymore. And by writing, I mean writing in multiple genres for multiple purposes, writing as a process. Nobody that I have spoken with who's a new teacher is fluent in the language of process writing. So I'm not sure how literacy is being defined now. I mean, I would hope that whoever's putting, the language into these grants and putting this money out there is very deliberate about how these concepts are addressed. Because if it's just, reading isn't just reading. Just
Right.
like, academic language is different than interpersonal communication. Writing is a different thing. Today is 2022. There hasn't been anything like writing across the curriculum in 20 years in California, and there needs to be a resurgence of that. I mean, some scholars need to reframe what literacy in this decade looks like.
Well, I think you hit on exactly what the conversation is with this literacy panel. So the literacy panel, it's a quick turnaround on this. They are recommending a new standard for every teacher preparation program and new literacy TPEs that will be adopted at the October meeting. They'll probably go forward and draft form in August, vetting at some point after July. We're trying to really, this is a really crunch timeline. But the conversations that have been taking place is about everything from what we've learned about neurodiversity and brain development and how people learn. So the science in and around reading and literacy, and an increased understanding of how to write and how to teach writing. And so writing is a big focus for this panel. That was a whole conversation, a couple of conversations about writing and inserting that. We've been really fortunate. I think the people that are on this panel are really high caliber California people with deep expertise in all of those arenas. So hopefully that what comes of this will be a really great new set of TPEs and standards. So hoping.
So Katrina, if I may, or I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. Committee member Chakowski, that is a mouthful. The work group is meeting monthly. Those meetings are public. We have a literacy email listserv. So this is clearly something you're passionate about. And I know passion doesn't always equal available time. But if you'd like to circle back with me, I can point you to where those resources are so you can engage with that as you may.
The next meeting is July 12th.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. I mean, and again, I don't want to act like, I've been like under a rock, but just, I mean, when you look at how transformational the January 6th hearings have been, I mean, note to everybody in this room about how communication must be delivered in this era. I mean, this is not our grandfather's literacy communication conversation anymore. So that's really very encouraging to hear that this is underway, and time must be a crunch. We've got to teach people to communicate and to make their voices heard. So that's really good news to me.
Yeah, and so that work is moving forward. That was something that was on the list here. That work is really moving quickly. Where the work of the COA comes in is that in that bill that we talked about, the SB 488 bill that authorized this work, there is a requirement that we create a verification process. So we actually have to approve, go through some sort of process in which programs will submit syllabi, criteria, what they're using to align with these new standards and new TPEs. So we will be needing, once the commission adopts a new set of TPEs and standards related to literacy, then we will have to figure out what that verification process looks like. And that will probably take place in the 2024 year, 2023-24 school year, somewhere in that nature. So that work is really important. And then I just wanted to mention the Tk3 work continues as well. The commission, what's the word? Endorsed. They didn't adopt the standards and the requirements, but they endorsed them. There was a lot of public feedback on various aspects of the proposed requirements for this new credential and proposed TPEs and standards. And so what's coming back at the August meeting is a set of regulations around that. And so again, that's another project that's moving forward really quickly to get ready for all of the new 4-year-olds that are coming into the state's elementary schools. So That work is continuing, and there's a lot of work around that because everything you can imagine for the multiple single, we have to think about in terms of this new credential. So should there be an intern option? And if so, is there an early completion option? And if so, so you think about all of those various angles and things that have happened over the years with multiple single and ed specialists. We are thinking about all at the same time for this new credential. So it's a lot of work, but good work. So I think those are probably all of mine. And I know that Erin's been working really hard on this system and site visits for next year and all of that.
Yeah, so site visits are wrapped up for this year. Yay. And I just want to say thank you to all the institutions who hosted their site visits, who engaged so deliberately in the process. I really appreciate it. And of course, staff, most of whom have three to four site visits, some more. Gay, I'm looking at you, as well as their revisits and all of the follow-up reports that they have. Staff is typically working with between 2 and 5 institutions each year in some capacity. So I want to thank them for all of their work. We are, of course, already looking at, next year, because it's some year of the 7-year cycle for every institution at any given moment, right? So we're already scheduling site visits for the blue cohort, which will be 23-24. They're getting ready for program review. Hart and Roxanne, Roxanne was presenting today. The two of them were hosting some program review office hours at 11 o'clock today, and those have been fairly well attended. It's really valuable to help institutions sort of get ready and submit successful program review submissions, because if they're not working, it's not helpful for the institution. So, just looking forward to all of those things. We've had a lot of movement in our staff, I will just say, in PSD. And I mean, that's good. People have promoted, people have retired, which they deserve to do. And I think it's part of, COVID's lifting and people are finally being able to shift, and they're shifting. So if you haven't seen it, and since I have a public forum here, we have 4 consultant positions right now open in PSD. 2 of them are accreditation consultants. So one is replacing Bob Locks. The other one is filling in behind Iore Osamwanyi, who just took a grants consultant position. So we are going to fill in behind her in accreditation. And then Kara has 2 grants consultant positions open. So we have 4. So if you or anyone is interested in coming to work for the commission, look how happy we all are all the time. Or anyone who's listening out there, if you're not sure, they're posted on EdJoin. They're also on the Cal HR website. And if you know me and you're listening and you're interested, please reach out to me, and I'm happy to talk to you about those positions.
And there may be additional ones coming in the budget.
There may be.
Sure.
Could be very exciting. We don't want to count. I don't like to count any chickens or any eggs, whatever, that the legislature is presenting to us until they've hatched.
Any other staff
Anything
reports?
else? I think that's probably it for today. Yes. Happy to, there's a lot going on. So if we miss it, I think we're good.
I think this is just a good time to say thank you to all that the staff does. I mean, you just gave us a little insight, so a little round of applause. I know as an institution that's coming up on site visit, just all the support that's happened has been invaluable. And so it's always nice to see it from both sides, this side of the table and the other. So, and all the grants, everything. So thank you all. Every time I'm here, and I know others feel the same, we're always amazed at all you get done with a small team. So we're glad to hear that there may be others joining or other eggs hatching, as Erin says. So this moves us on to item number 9, discussion of institutions not in compliance with accreditation timelines. Administrator Erin Sullivan will introduce this item. Ms. Sullivan, will you begin, please?
Yes, thank you. There continues to just be a single institution on this. They are aware that they still owe us a common standard submission. At this point, their site visit is in early fall, so it's likely that that submission, that evidence will be reviewed just prior to the site visit. The team is aware, the state consultant is aware. In the institution, which is, I'm sorry, I should say it publicly, Pasadena Unified School District, they're working hard, but they've communicated to us that they understand that they needed to bring on some more staff to help with this. So, some institutional infrastructure struggles right now, but I think they're making a good faith effort at this.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. And so this should move us on now to item number 23, I believe, proposed 2023 meeting dates.
Always the most controversial of all the issues you always have to deal with.
Okay. So analyst Michelle Bernardo will introduce this item. Ms. Bernardo, when you're ready, please begin.
So item 23 is for your 2023 COA meeting dates. In the table on page 4, we've listed a few possible meeting dates or proposed some meeting dates. And then we identify the dates that staff preferences. So I don't know if you want to go through all of the dates or just see if the ones that the staff have, the preferences for the staff work for your schedules.
I would recommend that we just look at the preferred dates first, and if those work, that would be easy. So looking at those dates, and I'm hoping everybody had a chance to look at their calendars. Are there any conflicts on any of the dates that we would need to discuss on any of those preferred dates?
And I'll call them out. They're January 26th and 27th, and these are all Friday and Saturday dates. Or Thursday, sorry. I will not be here on Saturday. Thursday and Friday. So January 26th and 27th, March 9th and 10th, May 4th and 5th, and then June 8th and 9th. We try to make the June year in the month since
to avoid quorum issues.
Yeah, quorum issues this time. And then for August, it would be a Thursday, August 10th.
And again, there's no magic bullet about Thursdays, Fridays. It just seems that's our historical days. So if you all wanted to change that, we certainly could do that as well.
I just have a question. Like in June, because like you were saying, like it's hard to get a quorum. I don't know if, well, I guess it has to be in June. We have to have one once a month, right? Or not necessarily.
I think it's depending on the flow of site visits and all that, isn't it?
Right.
How it's.
Because then in August, then if we usually do like a half a day in August because it's not as much meat to it. But is August any easier than June? I don't know.
Yeah, June and August are both the hard days. Some people are busy on others, and when you look a year out, you think you're going to be available, and then the last couple of years we've had this issue with June. Today just happens to be tighter than we did last year. I think we had one extra person last year for June, so that's why we were proposing it earlier. What we do need is, so if we were to have a May 4th and 5th meeting, as we're proposing, there are site visits that are finishing up sort of at the beginning of May that we can't get on that meeting. So we need another one at some point. And then you also have proposed programs like we saw today. There were 7 that all want to start operating in August or
So they really
September.
need that
So
time.
yeah, right.
So based on what we see with the staff preferred dates, are there any conflicts? Any reason we can't approve those? Okay, and so do we have a motion then? Since it's seeing no. Okay, so just to confirm that we accept the preferred dates that are recommended by staff on the table that Michelle presented. And second, Member Tchaikovsky. So all those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, say no. Okay, that motion carries. So we will accept for the new January through August dates. We'll accept the proposed dates with asterisk. One question I had for October, that's already finalized. Is it the same date as the commission meetings? Oh, okay, that's what I thought. So the commission meeting are wrong, right? Probably. Because the 27th and 28th of October are ones that we.
The commission meeting is the 13th and 14th
Okay,
in
good.
October.
I knew that wouldn't happen, but I wanted to confirm that.
Thank you. I didn't notice that error. That
For
is an
those of
error.
you that go to Cal Council, we'll have the commission meeting on the 13th and 14th. The following week will be Cal Council, and the week after that will be the COA, and the week after that will be CCAC.
Yes.
And then it'll be Thanksgiving.
Yeah. October is always kind of a crunch time for us.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ms. Bernardo, for item 23. So moving on to 24, the discussion of the accreditation handbook changes. Administrator Aaron Sullivan will introduce this item. Ms. Sullivan, will you begin, please?
Yes, yes, thank you. So we have been bringing to you various revisions to the accreditation handbook over the last few months. Again, our goal is it's easier to bring these to you in sort of bite-sized pieces, but someone asked me recently, one of the members asked me recently, and so I just want to remind and reassure you that in the end, once you've seen each of these chapters, we will still bring you a full final version of the handbook with all of the updates in it. So for this particular item, what we have are revisions to Chapter 6. And Chapter 6 is the chapter of the handbook that deals with program review. So I took a hand in working on this. It wasn't terribly outdated. There were some, it looks like I made a lot. Well, I did make a lot of revisions. I added some things in. I wanted to get a little more specific, get a little more clear, because the handbook is taken up often by institutions that are in the IIA process, thinking about what are they going to have to do moving forward, institutions that are working on program review. Sometimes the site visit reviewer will open this up to remind themselves, okay, that's right, the institution's already done these things. So I wanted it to be very clear. But for the most part, it was just bringing this language into alignment with the program review guidance documents that we already have online, so that everything is aligned with itself. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I have one, just maybe a revision.
Mm-hmm.
It's on page 4, on the paragraph that starts with "if the reviewers determine." It's the last sentence. It says, "This constitutes an extraordinary activity and cost recovery fees of $1,000 per additional member that will be assessed to the institution." I was thinking that the word "that" is not necessary. It's a little awkward. So it will be assessed to the institution.
Okay. I'm not seeing that right now. I'm sorry. There's so many changes to you. Great.
I got it.
One of us has it.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Otherwise, thought it looked really good.
Great. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the committee? Member Tchaikovsky?
Yeah, I was just going to say I appreciated it. It seems clear. It seems like easy to understand. For some reason, having gone through program review, section 3 there was somewhat elucidating to me, this idea of a preliminary report of findings. I was like, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But that will be, I don't know if that was an addition or clarification, but yeah, it's a good chapter. It's clear. It's a nice kind of testimonial to the kind of intent of program review, that it's about communication on an ongoing basis, a variety of evidence, and there's some very specific things like organizational chart or graphic. Like, it's very specific that it's not about a bunch of explaining things. It's again about that whole strengthening, streamlining, evidencing alignment with standards. So I like that.
Great.
Co-Chair Frawley?
Not a correction, just an acknowledgement of the amount of work that's involved in this. Thank you for doing this. I mean, it's very tedious. Anybody who's been involved in doing kind of this review, it's the wordsmithing, but it all has a purpose. So thank you. It really does help. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Co-Chair Frelly. I just want to reiterate that the work that's been done in revising the handbook this year has been, we know, a big lift in a very busy time, and so we really appreciate it, and appreciate that anticipated alignment that we'll have and across all of our work. Okay, any other final comments on the handbook? All right, then let's go ahead and move on to item 25, the nomination and election of, or actually I think it's item 24. The nomination and election of co-chairs. Administrator Cheryl Hickey will introduce this item. Ms. Hickey?
Yeah, I think it is 25. It's 25, yeah. Okay, nomination and election of co-chairs. Okay, at the last meeting, we opened the nominations, and today's meeting, we will accept any additional nominations that you have. We will close the nominations, and you will all elect your co-chairs for the 22-23 year. Well, I think we'll take separately the co-chair for IHEs and K-12s. And I'd like to start with the IHE co-chair. At the last meeting, Bob Frelly, I believe you accepted the nomination as the prospective IHE co-chair. And I want to ask at this time, are there any other nominees? Hearing none, I will now close the nominations for the IHE co-chair. Now, because Bob has served more than 2 terms, in order to vote to elect Dr. Frelly as the IHE co-chair, the motion would have to include the suspension of your procedures manual, because in the procedures manual, section 202 says that a person can only serve 2 terms. So whoever, if you have a motion, please include that in your motion. So do I have a motion? Sounds like I have one from.
So do we have to do them separately, or can it be the same motion?
You can do them together. Okay. You can do the motion to suspend and nominate.
Okay, so I'd like to move to suspend the rules and elect Bob Frelly as co-chair.
And is there a second? Kathy. All right, and Kathy. And now, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Yay! All right, Bob. Bob, would you like to say anything?
I'll bring the donuts next time. Just, you already know my sentiments about working with you. It's a phenomenal group of people. I'm never leave these meetings ever feeling like it was a waste of time. You know, you're sitting on the plane, you're thinking about the hassles and the air is not on, but once you get, you know what I mean? But it really is, I always leave with a new perspective on all of your talents that you bring and just all of how much I learn from each of you. I mean, it's a very insightful process, and you're all great people, and the staff that are here that I've known for so many years. So yeah, I'm just very honored and touched that you would even consider it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
And thanks.
I want it noted that we haven't had a trombone joke yet.
That's true. That is
so you have
true.
a few minutes to come up with something, really.
No joke is my gift to you, and thanks.
Okay. Yes, but thank you for your humor. The no air in the airplane makes me laugh. I've been there. All right, so now we'll move to the K-12. At the last meeting, we had 2 nominees, Katrina Chakowski. I don't know why, one of my best friends has the same last name as yours. I don't know why I trip over it. And no, Chuck, and Marty Martinez. So I'm just double checking. Any additional nominees? Yes, Katrina.
So I would like to step back from this honored position that I received at the last meeting of being nominated and hand the sole nomination to my esteemed colleague, Co-Chair Martinez.
All right. So we have someone, Katrina is withdrawing her name from that. And we have just Marty Martinez. Any other nominees? No. Okay, I will close the nominations. Do I have a motion? Cheryl.
I move we select Marty Martinez as the co-chair.
All right. And a second? Katrina. I'm going to give you that. All right. And all those in favor say aye. All those opposed. All right. Congratulations. All right. And would you like to say anything?
Oh, I just want to say thank you. Bob says it so eloquently. Next time I want to speak first. But we were talking at lunch just how much we learned from this group, and I just appreciate. Well, just I learned so much every time, but also just the integrity, the questions we ask. I feel like we just do a good job, and it's just an honor to work with all of you. So that's enough said. And then whatever Bob said.
Something else Marty and I were talking about at lunch is that as the turnover of the committee members change, every year we get new people coming in and out, the consistency of the quality of the people that come on the committee are really quite remarkable. So hats off to those who do the selection and do all the hard work behind the scenes. But it's also a testament to everybody who's come before us, because they've set the path for the work that we do. Every time we review documents, I mentioned this to Marty, I see that there's always something in there that someone's going to find to comment on, just for more illumination, get clarification. And I think that really speaks to what it is that our responsibilities are, and just the care and the level of depth that everybody puts into the work behind the scenes. But also even before you get to the table here, I think it's just remarkable. So like I said, I've been around for a while, but it never fails to amaze me just how perceptive. And every year we get further and further deeper into the process.
Right. Yeah, Cheryl.
Who? Miss Cheryl? No. Oh, well, on that note, about turnover, what's the plan for Member Larson's position? Did I miss a memo somewhere?
No, in fact, Michelle was just sending me a text reminding me to say something. So, Kathy Kresha is now going to be she's been appointed by Director Sandy to take that vacancy. So she'll be on for another 2 years, I believe, finishing out that. And then we will have 2 new members that will come on in August. So we have Augustin, I'm not sure how he pronounces his name, Cervantes from CSU LA. And then we also have Alan Hallis from Riverside County Office of Education. And then we do lose also Cynthia Amos, as her term is ending and she's not renewing. So I think that's everything. Did I miss anything, Erin?
No, you didn't. I just, again, thinking that public may be listening, I want folks to be reminded that Kathy was appointed as an alternative or an alternate member for IHE. So that's what made it, that's what made her appointment into Lynn's vacant position so seamless.
Right. Dr. Sandy was able to take from the alternate pool and fill that position. So, yes. So, great. Yes.
I don't know if it's directly related to composition of this group. In fact, it's probably not, but I just wanted to say that I'm always impressed at these meetings by how time is managed with the number of things on the agenda and how you all figure out kind of which items are going to require time. And we finish when we're supposed to. Like, when does that happen? I mean, this was a full agenda with many items, lots of attention. We got to acknowledge each person, each team who was here. We weren't feeling like we had to rush to, sometimes it's like when you're behind, any comments, everybody's like, no, we got to keep going. Like, that short circuits the whole point of this process. So good job on all of you for setting things up and having things so accessible and links working. And when I don't find a link that doesn't work, or when I found a link that didn't work, I emailed Erin, and within 12 minutes, I had the link. That's amazing. So on public record, thank you, all of you who are making these meetings super efficient. Like Bob says, it's never a waste of time. And it's absolutely something that you can be engaged in purposefully and interestingly for 8 hours. It's amazing.
Yeah, well said. Okay, any other comments before we move on? Okay, item 26, public comment. Does any member of the public have anything it wishes to say? Please raise your hand in the Zoom feature, or we will wait a moment to see if we have anyone indicating they wish to speak in the chat function. Okay, so having no further business, I adjourn the June 2022 meeting of the Committee on Accreditation. The next meeting of the committee will be on August 4th, 2022. All right. Thanks, everyone.